I'm getting pretty desperate for answers, man, and I don't know. Maybe this is it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and thank you very much for clicking on this video. Look, the Red Sox just got swept by the Milwaukee Brewers, right? They are on a really, really bad stretch now. That's 10-17 in the month of May. It's a 5-game losing streak. I don't even want to talk about where it puts them in the division or this wild card race. It is not a pretty picture right now. They are officially 4 games under 500 at 27-31. Things don't look very good. And it's got a lot of people questioning what's going wrong with this Red Sox team, to the point where Red Sox fans have started to say maybe this team is cursed. Because if you feel like this is what's been going on for the last 7 years, you're not totally wrong. So what we're going to do in today's video is we're going to look at some possible reasons why the Red Sox have been cursed by the baseball gods, and then ultimately whether or not I truly believe in a curse. Because to be honest with you, there's some merit to this right now. If you take a look since 2019, the Red Sox are the most mid or mediocre baseball team in the world. That's not an exaggeration. Since 2019, the Red Sox have played up to this point in the season 928 games. During that time span, they have 464 wins and 464 losses. The curse of pure mediocrity. They have been bad, they've been good, they have been mostly mediocre, and it all evens out to a perfect 500 record. The question then asked is, what could be some causes for a curse on the Boston Red Sox? Well, the most talked about one amongst Red Sox fans is the idea that the Red Sox are currently cursed by Mookie Betts, that the leaving of Mookie Betts brought a wrath down from this baseball gods. And honestly, this is kind of a fun one, right? Well, not fun, but we are going a little bit of a lore-accurate curse here if we're talking about baseball curses in general, because, I mean, Mookie was generational, right? He was a top 5 player in the sport, a first-ballot Hall of Famer, on pace to be one of the greatest Red Sox players of all time, up there with names like Ted Williams and Carl Yastrzemski. The last time the Red Sox traded a guy who could have been up there with names like Yaz and Williams, well, they ended up not winning a World Series for 86 years, right? It's kind of natural to sit here and say, well, wait a second. Last time they traded somebody this important to a Red Sox franchise, i.e. Babe Ruth, for obvious financial reasons here, they weren't able to win a World Series for almost 100 years. Why wouldn't it be the same probability when you trade away a guy like Mookie Betts? And honestly, I don't totally disagree with this, right? If you're going to talk about curses, we're going to talk about non-statistical things, I don't know, what would you, mythical? I don't know, what would you call this? Mythical reasoning? Why the Red Sox aren't winning baseball games? Sure, you could probably point to this. My only hole in this theory is that Mookie was here in 2019, right? You have to include 2019 in this conversation, 1, to get to pure mediocrity, and 2, because it allows you to get to pure mediocrity, right? It is the reason you are a mediocre baseball team over the last 7 years. You take out 2019, and the Red Sox are a sub-500 team, which, okay, you could say the curse started after 2019, but if we're talking pure mediocrity, which is what the Red Sox have been these last 4 years, you kind of have to include this season. So it feels like, to me, if we're going to look for curses, it actually starts before Mookie Betts, which really begs the question, okay, what is it? What could it be then? Well, maybe the curse is still related to Mookie Betts. It just didn't start the second he was traded from this baseball team. Maybe in reality, it actually started back in 2019, and it's the curse of FSG, right? Because in 2019, we kind of saw the writing on the wall. The Red Sox couldn't come to an agreement with Mookie Betts. There were already conversations as to whether or not they were going to trade him. There were already conversations about whether or not he was going to become a free agent, right? All of that started in that 2019 season, so it could potentially be the curse of a cheap ownership. And the baseball god said, nope, we are only going to reward teams that actually invest in their product and win baseball games. I mean, this one could have some legs to it. The Red Sox haven't exactly been known for making big splashes in this time frame. In fact, they become pretty notorious during that span of games for doing the exact opposite. I mean, think about it. In these last 7 seasons, the Red Sox have lost Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts, Nate Eovaldi. They traded Chris Sale. They let smaller guys walk who were really important to Red Sox winning. Michael Wacha, Kyle Schwarber, all these guys walked, right? They did not come back to the Boston Red Sox. Reasons for that are, 1, your roster construction, but 2, because you didn't feel like you were you were going to be able to win spending this amount of money, which is ridiculous considering how much money you are bringing in, right? Your whole philosophy has shifted in these last 7 years, and maybe a philosophy shift is what brought this curse down upon the Boston Red Sox. However, my only issue with that conversation is then how do you explain this year's, right? This year's team is not mediocre. They're just bad right now. 4 games under 500 isn't an average baseball team. It's a bad baseball team. Yet this offseason, they've spent a pretty decent amount of money, right? They've spent like a big market team. You go out, you give Bregman an ungodly amount of money for what he was when he signed, right? Well worth it for sure. And a guy that I would do that over and over again to get on this baseball team, but a massive overpay when you consider the AAV compared to what other players in his range are getting. You played Garrett Crochet after making a huge trade for him, right? You didn't cheap out on Garrett Crochet. You got him for the next, 6-7 years. You extended Christian Campbell. During this time span, you paid for Rafael Devers, Masataka Yoshida, and Trevor Story. This season, you really don't have the excuse of the Red Sox ownership did not invest in their product. In fact, it's probably the exact opposite. They may have overinvested in this product. So how can you consider this to be a FSG curse unless it's something that's overcoming this spending, right? Unless it's, hey, you need to spend like you're the Boston Red Sox for the next 5 years before you can break out of this curse. Maybe you need to extend Roman Anthony to make things right for losing a guy like Mookie Betts. Maybe you need to extend Marcelo Meyer to make up for losing a guy like Xander Bogaerts, right? Maybe that's what breaks this curse. Maybe it is the FSG curse, and they need to find a way to break it by extending these core guys and not letting what happened with Mookie Betts happen all over again. I could see that as a possibility. The further I get into this video, the more ridiculous this video sounds. But to be honest with you, I'm just looking for answers, man. I think we're all just looking for answers, right? This team shouldn't be this bad. We could go to the manager. We could go to the front office. We go to the ownership. Now we're talking about curses on the Boston Red Sox. Things are not good in Red Sox Nation. And speaking of Alex Cora, there is one more I want to talk about. The final one I've seen a lot of people talk about is the curse of Alex Cora, the curse of this manager. And I don't know. I can kind of see where you're coming from, right? He joins in 2018. They win a World Series. And then every single year after that, things don't go super well, right? You get that 2021 season, which was absolutely fantastic, and he did a great job managing in. Outside of that, he's been a very mediocre manager when it comes to wins and losses, right? You could sit there and you could say, what's the common denominator between 2019 and 2025? And it's been Alex Cora at the helm of this ship. But to me, I don't know if this one has a ton of legs, to be honest with you. One, because you can't really be cursed and also have the greatest Red Sox team of all time under your belt, right? And I get it. This is the only reason people even respect Alex Cora at all, because of the 2018 season in which he got carried. And that's fine to have that opinion, but it's hard to not admit that if a guy is cursed, he probably doesn't have a World Series ring, right? He probably isn't managing to a World Series ring, because if he was cursed, the curse probably would have started back in 2018. Now, you could say, all right, what about after that? Well, my other argument to that is if Alex Cora was the curse on the Boston Red Sox, he ended up suspended for a season. You didn't have him in 2020, and yet you still came out and had probably your worst period of baseball during that stretch, right? Your 2020 season was maybe the worst season of baseball of all 7 of these seasons, and Alex Cora wasn't at the helm of this ship. If it was an Alex Cora curse, don't you think that if he was removed from this baseball team, better things would be happening? Now, I will say, in order to sort of validate this curse just a little bit here, the 2 games he did not manage this season, the Red Sox did end up winning. So, I don't know, maybe there is something to this after all. I have no idea. I think this one is a bit ridiculous considering the World Series in the 2020 year, but hey, honestly, at this point, Red Sox fans are getting a bit ridiculous, and I think it's fair to get a little bit ridiculous with this team. You want my honest answer as to whether or not the Red Sox are cursed? I don't think the Red Sox are cursed. I don't think it's some supernatural, mythical problem with the Boston Red Sox. I think it's pretty easily explainable as to why the Red Sox have been so mediocre during this time span. The first one is obviously spending, right? You were a top 3, top 4 valued team in Major League Baseball, yet you spent like a top 15, top 20 team in Major League Baseball. You decided to change your philosophy coming out of 2018 and say, hey, we're going to become more efficient, i.e. more cost efficient. We're going to build from within. We're going to create a juggernaut. inside our own system so we don't have to go out and spend an absorbent amount of money in order to make this team competitive. And in order to do that, you need to have some mediocre to bad years, right? You need to get some top picks. You need to sit there and make better selections in the draft and sign better players in the international free agent pool. And the way you do that is to be mediocre, to be bad, to get higher draft picks, to get more signing bonus money, and end up putting yourself hopefully in a better spot. But what happens with that is you end up with years like this. From basically 2023 from 2019, you end up with mediocre to bad baseball teams. The other part of this is you had terrible injury luck, and maybe that is part of the curse, but I also think that's just part of the way baseball is now. I can't even remember the last Red Sox season where there wasn't a legitimately impactful player on your IL for a significant period of time. Last year, it was basically everybody, right? Even Rafael Devers ended up on the IL at points. Rafael Devers played through the entire season hurt last year. That was sort of your big, hey, this guy can't figure it out and get healthy type player. This year, it's Alex Bregman, Chris Sale in the past, Tristan Casas in the past, Xander in the past, right? It's just a continuous amount of players that just simply could not stay on the field, and maybe that is a curse, or maybe that's just bad luck considering where baseball is at this point. And the third reason is just simply poor roster construction. Even middling baseball teams, even teams that don't spend a ton of money, have had successful seasons because they've picked the right players to actually invest money in. The Red Sox over these past few years haven't been able to do that, right? You talk about contracts that just simply look like albatross contracts at this point. Massa, not to his fault or his performance, but does not have a place on this team. He was an investment by the Boston Red Sox when you could have invested in a guy like, say, a Suzuki or someone of that caliber that would be playing every day for this Red Sox team. Trevor Story, right? You decided to put your money in Trevor Story, and he has been one of the worst players in Major League Baseball right now. You invested so much money into these guys, and you're just getting nothing from them. You made poor investment decisions, but even outside of just bigger named guys, right now the Red Sox rotation is made up of players you mostly brought into this organization, and the guys who are doing the best are the guys that are either super young and just an ace and a stud like Garrett Crochet, or they're guys that you developed up through this system. You haven't been able to find correct starting pitching in this sort of middle market team's philosophy that you've had these past couple of years, right? You've invested in injured pitchers, you've invested in aging pitchers, and all of those guys, I would say 99% of them, outside of Aroldis Chapman, Kenley Jansen was pretty solid, Michael Wacha was good for you, but a majority of them, guys like Paxton, guys like Kluber, guys like Giolito, they just simply haven't been able to get the job done, and you haven't been able to get enough from them, right? You've been really, really terrible at developing talent that is aging, that is coming off of injury, right? And I think that's a big reason why this Red Sox team has been so miserably mediocre over these past 7 years. And the question becomes, how do you fix it? Well, it's going to take a little bit, right? It's not going to turn around overnight. You need to essentially change your entire philosophy here. Make better decisions on the field, in the dugout, and in the front office. And until that happens, all together at the same time, this team's just going to continue to float around this mediocrity, right? The manager needs to be better. The players need to be better. The front office needs to be better. It's not a curse. It's poor decision making combined with every level on this Red Sox roster, and it just continues to fester and build, and it continues to make fans mad to the point where we have to make a video talking about a curse because it feels like that's where the Red Sox are. However, that's just my opinion. Maybe they are cursed. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think? Are there any of these curses have legs to them? Do any of these curses stand out to you and say, oh yeah, you know what, I could get behind this one. This one may actually be why the Red Sox aren't winning baseball games. Are you sitting there like me, like, yeah, the curses are fun, but there's legitimate real world problems with this Red Sox team that just simply refuse to get acknowledged, that simply refuse to get solved? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch these episodes, all you got to do is head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.